Here, I think I'm trying to go around the outside. This is some slimy stuff, boy. Woo. Hey everybody, KLR Nomad here. This video is episode 1 of an overnight moto-camping trip I took last weekend along a portion of the Scar with my buddy Glenn on his new Tenere T7. The Scar is a roughly 1,000-mile route looping across the state of South Carolina, consisting, it's mostly rural 2-lane paved, unpaved county and Forest Service roads. You'll see in the video that the unpaved portions can be gravel, packed dirt, even some deep mud. Segments of the route closer to the coast are notorious for their deep sand too. We didn't see any of that. Unfortunately, I'm still sorting out some audio and video issues. I didn't get the audio from our Cardo Pack Talks. That left the video from my helmet cam with an odd one-sided narration. So I muted the riding video clips on this trip. And I wanted to put some music in, but YouTube keeps flagging my music for copyright violations, so you don't get to hear any of that cool professional soundtracks. Sorry about that. I hope to get all of this sorted out soon and produce a more enjoyable package here. In this episode, I met Glenn at the Kings Mountain National Military Park, which is the location of a major Revolutionary War battle that actually turned the tide of the war in favor of the colonies against the British. On a side note, Glenn is actually a direct descendant of one of the colonial colonels that fought in that battle. That's super cool. So maybe I'll get some more, get an interview with Glenn on that on one of these videos. From Kings Mountain, we joined the Scar just down the road. It was still kind of on the property, and there's an intersection there where you could go clockwise or counterclockwise, and we rode what would be clockwise on the loop. In the overall video, I included primarily clips of the unpaved and the roughly paved portions of the route. I didn't really do all of the 2-lane twisties. Not that they were really twisty, because it's not the mountains. Some clips are longer than others, but I wanted to show potential travelers exactly what to expect. So if you're interested in riding it, just stay tuned for all of that. Of course, even the paved portions are enjoyable riding. We can believe the views, the thick woods, the rolling green pastures, even the farms and homes, worth every mile, dude. Some of those homes are, 1700s or even older, I think. So it was really cool. In later episodes, we'll find a little roadside barbecue stand where we had lunch. It was pretty cool. And eventually we find a spot for a little stealth camping in the woods, and we go into showing the camp setup and everything. So yeah, just kind of enjoy the route, and we'll go from there. So where you saw me take the left-hand turn and hit the gravel for the first time, that's where we got onto the Scar. If we had continued straight on that road, then we would have been on the Scar, but going counterclockwise toward the northwestern portion of the state. And so that we'll probably do in another trip, go that way and see what we run into. But this time, like I said, we did clockwise, and this is still part of the park. I'm pretty sure, but just because of how well it's maintained, this is packed gravel. You can go pretty quickly, so you got to watch your speed because you are in the park. And inside that park, there are a lot of cyclists and hikers, and I think maybe even horseback riders. But on this day, there were a lot of cyclists in the parking lot where I met Glenn. And as you'll see coming up here in just a bit, we'll pass a couple of them. So as a cyclist, mountain biker, and urban rider and whatnot, I implore you guys, when you're riding past cyclists and something like this, especially off pavement, give them as wide a berth as you can. You don't want to cover them in dust. Their lungs are going to be sucking that up if you do. So just, you know, kind of exhibit some goodwill amongst fellow adventurers. And anyway, yeah, this portion ends pretty quickly, and then we'll get onto some 2-lane blacktop, and we'll start the you know, seeing the views of all the farmland. And it's just amazing how much beautiful land is still out there unmolested by the developers. Of course, it's developed into a farm many generations ago, but you know what I mean. So there's the cyclist I was telling you about. They were the only two we saw once we left the parking lot, which leads me to something that Glenn and I were talking about a lot during the ride, was how beautiful the weather was. You know, it's like high 50s, mid 60s, I think, is a high, and obviously clear and sunny, and there were almost no other humans out there. Even on the blacktop, the number of cars were very limited, which makes it safer for us. I'm not going to complain. But it was just really weird. There were no other adventure bikes on the Scar the entire time we were out there, and the section we were on anyway. I mean, I'm not going to say that the entire 1,000-mile loop, but the section we rode, there was no other adventure bike or dual sport. On the pavement, I think in 2 days I saw 2 or 3 maybe people on Harleys and whatnot. It was just really surreal. So we were joking back and forth if the zombie apocalypse has started and we just don't know. You know, was there some sort of, you know, cataclysmic world event that everybody's glued to their television sets and indoors, and we're the only couple of people out here enjoying the nature and the beautiful weather in the springtime in South Carolina. But so yeah, that was kind of strange. But you'll see that, you see the puddles there. It rained the night before pretty heavily, and there was certain segments that we rode that were really muddy, and here we're getting into some of it. We'll get into even worse here in a little bit. But being Glenn's first real try off-road with his new T7, he doesn't have crash bars yet, so he's a little, obviously, and rightly so, a little worried about laying it down unnecessarily without those crash bars to protect the bodywork. But he also didn't have really aggressive tires. His are probably more of a 50-50 than mine. Mine are the Tusk Sports, big old knobbies, and I'm still having a sketchy feel underneath me. My bike is still skittering and scattering around in the gravel and the mud. So that's something I still haven't gotten completely comfortable with. I've been doing this for just over a year now, and I haven't been off-road every time. I've been riding the bike for a year. Unfortunately, most of that has been on pavement, just due to the nature of North Carolina not having a lot of dirt and gravel in the area where we live. But yeah, it's every time I hit really slick mud or gravel, I'm pretty surprised by how much the bike moves around underneath me. And a lot of you are going to notice or probably, you know, comment about how, you know, well, you're not standing up on the bike, you're not standing up on the pegs, you're sitting down. Well, if you know much about KLRs, you've heard that the KLR is kind of the sit-down adventure bike. It's the ergonomics and where the shifter is and the handlebars, it really doesn't lend itself to riding standing up very comfortably. And as much as you have to upshift and downshift between second and first on the KLR, because the gear spread is atrocious. Everybody that has one of these, all the vloggers bring it up, and I laugh every time I hear someone else say it, because it is so true. You're upshift, downshift. It doesn't like to wind out, so you can't really leave it in first, but you wind it as much as you're comfortable in first, hit second, and it's like, buh. So as much as you have to shift, when you're standing up and you can't really get your boot under and then on top, under and then on top of the shifter very comfortably, just the way it's shaped. I've got the longer shifter, I've got dropped foot peg mounts, but with adventure boots on, it's still not easy. Even sitting down sometimes, upshifting is not very easy in an adventure boot, even with the drop foot peg brackets and the longer shift lever. So yes, I'm sitting down. When I hit technical things, short, rocky, rooty patches, single track kind of stuff, yes, I'll get up on the foot pegs and kind of throttle my way out. But then there's also some things with throttling a KLR across rocky, rooty stuff, especially if you're climbing, so you're leaned forward, if you're going uphill at a steep rate. That suspension is so bad that the gas cap looks like it's trying to knock your teeth out as you're bouncing across technical stuff. So I'll get into that here in a second. But yeah, so I'm not standing up. I am sitting down. I am positioned. My butt is basically directly over my foot pegs, so my weight is directly over the center of the bike. Just because where my duffel is, it becomes a backrest. So I'm really limited in my body position when I've got all my camping gear on the bike. And that's why if I go somewhere to ride OHV trails, I'll go set up camp, strip the bike down, and then go ride, for that very reason. That way I can move around a lot easier and get some of the top heaviness out of the ride. But the suspension on the KLR, if you have one, the rear you can set preload. I've got it set to number 5, which is the highest. Even at that, with the 75 pounds of gear and my 200 plus pounds, it was really, I was bottoming out here and there. It was noticeable. Side note, you just see that turn right there. I wanted to make a comment about, yes, the SCAR route, you can Google it and you can download the GPS files to GIA, which is what I did. That's what's on my phone. And it will track you along the route if you hit the settings correctly, but it will not give you turn by turn. So you get lost in the view, looking at everything all around you and how beautiful everything is, and you miss a couple of turns. Even with both of us staring at the map and looking, hey, there's a turn coming, occasionally the both of us would be like, oh crap, we missed a turn. So that is part of it. On the SCAR is not a turn by turn route. So keep that in mind. It's very easy to get distracted just by the sheer beauty of everything and just enjoying the ride and not staring at your phone for the next turn. If you have your scale on the map, you can adjust it, squeeze it in, squeeze it out, whatever, to change how zoomed in you are. And if you zoom in too much, the turns come up on you so quickly you'll miss them. If you zoom out too much, you can't tell what a turn is if it's just a squiggly road. So you really got to find that sweet spot on your map, so that you're seeing the turns in time. Suspension, yeah, I was talking about that. If you've got the Gen 3 KLR, pretty much any KLR, Cogent is who I'm planning to go through for a fork and shock upgrade, and coil upgrade. So they, from what I understand, will talk to you on the phone and go through everything about how you ride, what gear you carry, how heavy you are, that sort of thing, and then design the suspension around how you're going to use the bike. So that's what I plan to do. It's going to be a couple grand, maybe a little more for the whole setup. But it's going to be well worth it, because that's really the Achilles heel for me off-road on the single track, is how badly the bike tries to buck you off. Every time I drop it, it's because it's kind of bucked me a little too far over to one side, and I can't right myself in time and end up going down. So if I can get that rebound set a little better, that'd be a big plus. Right here, we're getting into the slippery, slimy mud, and it's crazy how much that bike moves around underneath you. It's not like your YZ 250 or 125. It's not like your mountain bike, that lightweight stuff that kind of glides across the top of it, or if you drop it, it's no big deal. You just pick it up and keep going. 575 pound bike, excuse me, with camping gear, and you drop it in 8 inches of mud, it's going to be a problem. So even with two of us, we were kind of joking how we were going to end up looking like, you know, the Three Stooges, the Two Stooges, trying to get the bikes up out of that mud. We're going to be slipping and falling and rolling around and covered in mud, and still not getting the bikes upright. So it's a little unnerving to me still as a new adventure rider. I'm not new to off-road, but I am new to the heavy bike off-road, and it's how much the bike moves around side to side and whatnot on gravel and mud is still something I'm trying to get used to. I guess that's just going to come with experience, and you know, I'm going to have to drop the bike a few more times, I'm pretty sure. So just to get used to what's normal. How far can the bike get out of shape and not be a problem? See, right here, these ruts are like 8 inches deep, and that is just squishy mud. It's crazy. You can see the front end tried to wash out a little bit on me right there. And the back end is doing all kinds of crazy things. So there's some serious pucker factor through this section. People on the Facebook page asked me when I posted a little clip, you know, what road is this? I'm not sure. I'm not paying attention to road names. I'm just, you know, enjoying the ride kind of thing. But, you know, it's before you get to Lockhart. It's between Kings Mountain and Lockhart, because Lockhart is, you'll see in the next episode, is where we stop. It's a gas station. It's the first like gas station we come to along the route. We don't need gas at that point, but you do just kind of get off and shake the legs out a little bit. But that's about as close of a description as I can give you. Is, yeah, it's between Kings Mountain and Lockhart, South Carolina. So yeah, I wish there was a way that people that are not familiar with riding these heavy bikes in this kind of terrain could see more about how really unnerving it can be, how much the bike is really moving underneath you, and how exciting 20 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour is in this situation. It may not look it on video, but it sure as hell feels it when you're out there doing it. So right through here is just really fun. I mean, it's fun. It is. I say unnerving, but I mean, we do it on purpose, so it is fun. Don't want to make you sound like it's not, or that, you know, you shouldn't do it. Definitely get out there and do it. If you've got an adventure bike or a dual sport and you're not doing this stuff, you need to start, because that's really what they're about. I mean, it's so much better than a Harley or any kind of, you know, just purely stuck to the street bike, cruiser kind of bike. I know crotch rockets, that's a whole different envelope, but these where you can just get off road and have this kind of fun just randomly, wherever you see a dirt trail or an offshoot or a road like this, and you can just, hey, let's go see what's up here. So it's all about the exploration. It's all about a little bit getting a little bit out of your comfort zone, and you know, having some fun, because this is definitely that. We would get to these intersections like this, back onto the pavement, I'd stop, and you'd see, you know, Glenn would pull up next to me. We'd make sure we're both comfortable, we're both good, have our breath caught, and confirm, yeah, we're turning this direction, you know, and then once the road's clear of any traffic, head on and enjoy the twisty asphalt. And that's where you really get the open rolling pasture views and the amazing, you know, 100-year-old farmhouses and things of that nature. It's just so beautiful along this segment of the route. I'm sure it's beautiful along most of it, but we'll do more and find out. But if you have not gone out on the SCAR, do so. Be advised that it's not just adventure bikes and dual sports that come out here and do this. People do build these extravagant, you know, overlanding four-wheel drive rigs and then go drive this. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like that would be a lot of fun, but I guess they still get the views, and they are putting their mall crawler onto some dirt. But yeah, this to me is really only going to be fun. The traveling portion of it's really only going to be fun on two wheels. But that's me. That's my opinion. Everybody's got one, right? And we all know they stink. So coming up to the end of this episode, next episode we'll go to the barbecue spot for some lunch. We'll end up doing some moto camping. I don't know if it's going to end up being 3 episodes or just 2, but we'll see. My batteries didn't last much for the second day on the helmet cam. I did try to charge them as best I could with my solar charger, but you know, stuff happens. So anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this listening to me wasn't too, you know, mind numbing. I hope you don't need psychiatric care at this point due to me, but please watch the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. If you've got some, you've done some other portions of the scar and want to talk about it, please do. Let me know what's some really good portions if you've done it. Thanks again, KLR Nomad. Getting ready to call it quits for this episode. Oh, look at that, man! That's fun right through there. You got to do it if you haven't. Even if you live somewhere in another part of the country, find roads like this. Get your dual sport or adventure bike out on it. Get those tires dirty. Enjoy the weather. Have some fun. Because yeah, there's nothing better really. There's stuff better. Okay, I know. Just go with me. All right. There's better stuff. I get it. I'm not gonna say what it is. We all know. But anyway, this is a lot of fun. Get out, do it, enjoy, like, share, subscribe, help me build the channel. I really appreciate it, folks. I like uphill better than downhill. Alright, some mud done. Get out. Yeah, I did this by myself in the rain. I'm not the most intelligent person sometimes. Yeah, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Yeah. But yeah, it was like 38 degrees and raining all day.